Hello everybody, hope you're doing well today. Marc G with a C, back with another video. And I am back with another part in my series of my favourite albums from my favourite labels. Today we are going to focus on Earache Records from Nottingham in England. Started in the 80s by Digby Pearson, who was a real advocate for promoting the sort of underground extreme music back in the UK, especially the sort of grindcore movement that was coming out of Birmingham primarily. But like I've been doing with this series, I am just showing you some of my favourite albums from these labels and some of the favourite pieces of my collection. Strangely enough, for all the albums I have got on the Earache label, I only have a few OG vinyl copies, quite a few of the OG cassettes and CDs, but not so many vinyl, which kind of surprised me really. I thought I had more, but I have got a few of the new full dynamic range reissue vinyl to show you. But let's get started. So first off, and kind of where it all began for me, Grind Crusher compilation that was released. These were just a fabulous, I've said it before in my videos, these are just were a fabulous way back in the late 80s, early 90s for us hungry metalheads to find out about the bands on these labels and just bands in general. I mean, you can see on the back of there, look at that: Morbid Angel, Repulsion, Carcass, Godflesh, Napalm Death, Terrorizer, Bolt Thrower, and then we get a bit more kind of to the extreme end, the more punky, sort of crusty end of things. But yeah, this was brilliant. It was a real gateway to finding out about these brilliant bands. And one of the bands featured on that CD is this band, Unseen Terror. This is an OG vinyl copy, Mosh 4. It's that early, you can see, look at the Earache logo's not even got the sort of harsh edges that it's used to. But this is Shane Embury from Napalm Death, one of his projects. He actually drums on this album. This is a fabulous piece of grindcore extreme metal, absolutely brilliant. Unseen Terror. So I think what I'll do is I'll show you the two other OG vinyl I have got. I'll just get that out of there, and then we'll show you a few cassettes and CDs. Another one of the early purveyors, being on the Earache label, Napalm Death. This EP, Mentally Murdered, is just fabulous. Bill Steer's guitar tone on this is just awesome. It is fucking horrible, but brilliant at the same time. It is so good. This was kind of the beginning of Napalm Death, incorporating those death metal sort of traits. But yeah, I love it. One of my favourite pieces of work by Napalm Death. I've got that on 7-inch as well. I was lucky enough, one of my good friends, Neil, from Blackpool, he passed that on to me quite recently at a gig we were at together. That's lovely, isn't it? And also another 7-inch there, another Napalm Death 7-inch. Suffer the Children from the Mighty Harmony Corruption LP. This is one that survived my quite nice because it's still got the stickers in it. One of the ones that survived from back in the day. I have got quite a few pieces from my collection that never survived. Most of my CDs did, but cassettes and vinyl sort of disappeared over the years. What year is this from? Just so I don't have to try and look at the back in the small print. But I have wrote them all down, but I can't even find it when I've written it down in here. 1990. Harmony Corruption. This is the new lineup. I always loved that band picture. But yeah, Barney from Benediction was involved, and then they had Jesse from Terrorizer, Mitch Harris from Righteous Pigs. What a lineup that is. Love it. Recorded at Morrisound Studios. Just an absolute fantastic death metal grindcore album. Just love it. Absolutely love it. What else have we got? Let's show you. Going back, we'll show a bit more Napalm Death, but going back a few years, this is their second album, From Enslavement to Obliteration. This is an OG CD with the Scum album on as well. There's that famous Earache logo. But if you don't know this, I mean, I always say if you're a fan of sort of Napalm Death's death metal era, this is completely different. This is full on. This is grindcore. This is what you call extreme metal at its finest. From Enslavement to Obliteration and Scum. Don't think I wrote those years down. It's got to be the late 80s, that, isn't it? 89, yeah, 88, 99 maybe. Can't remember, if I'm dead honest. But we can't remember everything, can we? Next we have got, let's show you this on a cassette. This is from 92. As with all of these videos, I'm kind of not just going in the order of them being released and showing you. I'm picking out some of my favourite pieces. I'm showing them to you. I'm not showing you everything that I own from Earache as well. I've got a lot more, but for the sake of this video, I mean, we're up to 6.5 minutes already now. But from 92, Godflesh, their debut, Street Cleaner. Justin Broderick, again from that sort of early scene that Earache were all about. I am not a massive fan of the later Godflesh stuff, but this album, just that artwork, used to see the guys in Obituary and all wearing these shirts. It was a big part of the scene, and I love it. Like Rats, what a tune that is. Just brilliant. Industrial, extreme death metal. Let's show you another cassette, and one of the first albums I suppose I'd bought on Earache back in the day, after the Grind Crusher and finding the sort of UK bands, but one of the ones that really has had a massive influence on me is Entombed's Left Hand Path. Show the cassette version. I've got the FDR vinyl version. I have got an OG CD, but like I say, I'm only going to show you a few pieces from my collection, and this is a nice one. Entombed Left Hand Path on cassette. Fabulous album, kind of the beginning of that whole Swedish HM2 love affair of mine. Also, awesome HM2 sound. This is Carnage, the beginnings of Dismember, if you will. This is a split on Necrosis Records, which was a subsidiary of Earache that was run by Bill Steer and Jeff Walker from Carcass. They had a few releases on it. Repulsion was one of the main ones, which I don't have a version of Repulsion's album on Necrosis, so I can't show it in this. But this was a split they did with Cadaver, and this is a CD that's a treasured part of my collection, because it's quite hard to find this one. That's the cover of the Cadaver, Hallucinating Anxiety, and we well know the cover of Dark Recollections. Superb. I love this album as much as I love Entombed's first two, as much as I love Dismember's first two. Just fabulous. Talking about Jesse Pintado in Napalm Death, this is his band Terrorizer with their album World Downfall from '89. Pete Sandoval, Dave Vincent went on to be in Morbid Angel. Oscar the vocalist from Nausea. I'll get the J card out, I suppose, on this, but I'm not going to do that on all of them, because it's very time consuming, isn't it? And I've got quite a lot to show you, so I don't want to spend too much time on each album. Let's show you a CD. Let's show you what's playing in the background. Vader, The Ultimate Incantation, their debut from, what year? 92, I want to say, maybe. Like I say, I can't remember all the years. Obviously the CD's in the CD player, but an awesome aggressive, claustrophobic death metal album from Vader out of Poland. This was one of those albums that was quite full on back in the day when I remember first hearing it, kind of along with Immolation, Dawn of Possession. You know, it was like full on, but fabulous. Absolutely love it. One of the English bands I was talking about off the Grind Crusher compilation, Bolt Thrower, and their second album, Realm of Chaos, all about the Warhammer artwork. I even bought a Warhammer t-shirt off the back of the fact that Bolt Thrower had something to do with them. But excellent, doomy, horrible English death metal. What year is that from? 89, that one. The Carnage one was from 90. An album that I'm going to show you now that I absolutely love, but gets quite mixed reviews. People either love it or they hate it, and I love it, and that's Confessor, their album from 91, Condemned. The vocalist is very extreme on here. He has got such a screamy, shouty, really impressive in my ears. And the way he sings over the music, his own sort of timing over things. And again, they were quite renowned because of the drummer, Steve Sheldon, I think his name is. He was the same, you know, the riffs are playing and the drums were just going off, and there was never the same sort of drum patterns throughout the songs. Just brilliant, and I loved that. I loved that sort of diversity of it. It was, when I first heard it, I didn't know what to make of it. But you know, it was 1991, so I was still in my teens. I had time to listen to these albums, let them absorb. And this album, if you're new to listening to it, it may take you a bit to get used to, but it is well worth that journey. And I was lucky enough to see these boys on the tour in support of this. I don't suppose this is a CD in support of that tour, but Gods of Grind featuring Entombed, Carcass, Cathedral and Confessor. Saw this at the Bradford Queen's Hall. It was, what a fabulous gig that was. Confessor kicked off and it just never let up. It was Confessor first on, Cathedral, then Entombed, and Carcass headlined, and they were just brilliant. And Carcass, it was when they had Michael and Mott in the band then, but just a brilliant tour. One of those great memories of mine, you know, when me and my friends going there and making a day of it. Just excellent. Gods of Grind. Talking of one of the bands on there, I'm going to show you the OG cassette, Cathedral. What year was this one? Have I written it down? No, I've not written that one down, but I'm not going to spend too much time trying to have a look. But anyway, Lee Dorian from Napalm Death fame early on. Also features Adam and Gaz, who played in Acid Rain. This was a massive departure. I remember first hearing this and I was like, wow. It was my first sort of foray into doom metal. Cathedral, Forest of Equilibrium, by the way, if I didn't say so, which I don't think I did. And it was the heaviness that I wanted, but it was so slowed down. And Lee Dorian, you're expecting those screams and growls, but he was singing, but in such a depressive way. And Cathedral have gone on to be more of a kind of a Black Sabbathy kind of band, you know, those sort of doomy stoner sort of riffs. But this is just pure, depressing, melancholy, slow, earthy doom metal. Love it. Also on Gods of Grind, The Mighty Carcass, OG cassette of Reek of Putrefaction. Love that primal, raw, fierce grindcore. That was followed up by Symphonies of Sickness. I love this album, absolutely love it. I love the fact that this again is that it's got that sort of sound where it's still grindcore, but there's those death metal elements in there, and I just love that difference between Jeff Walker and Bill Steer's voice. You know, the sort of harsh, sort of barking Jeff Walker, and then this real loose, deep sort of Bill Steer sound. Absolutely love this album. One of my favourite albums of all time. I mean, I love Necrotism, but that is just fabulous. Talking of Carcass, let me show you vinyl. This is one of the new reissues. That one I've just shown you, but with a different cover. Love that cover as well. This logo here, that silver Carcass, I painstakingly painted that onto my leather jacket. Down the sleeve, I had that logo on one sleeve and the Pungent Stench on the other. Just love it, just love that logo. But yeah, fabulous, fabulous release. One of my favourites. Let me show you that. That's a FDR release as well. I've shown it to you before, but again, like I say, I'm just kind of showing you my favourite pieces and albums that mean a lot to me. But yeah, Carnage Dark Recollections, again, the FDR version. They sound great as well. If you see these full dynamic range albums, do pick them up because they do sound fabulous. Also got the Terrorizer reissue, Dave Vincent, Pete Sandoval, Jesse, rest in peace Jesse, and Oscar on vocals. An absolute grindcore masterpiece. One of the greatest albums of all time. Look at that logo as well. I've seen a shirt on eBay and it's the new version of that red Terrorizer shirt. It was a red Terrorizer shirt with the logo in yellow and the print, and I might have to get it because it reminds me back in the day. One of the first sort of albums that was talked about on Earache back in what year is this, 89, the awesome Altars of Madness by Morbid Angel. Look at that cover artwork. One of the first pieces of art I ever saw from Dan Seagrave. Absolutely fabulous. Spoke about Pete Sandoval there, Dave Vincent, the mighty Trey, and Richard, rest in peace Richard. Far too many of these musicians that I've looked up to over the years have passed away, but this is an absolute classic album. They followed that up with this, which is my favourite Morbid Angel. I know a lot of people's favourite is Altars, but this is the one that I connected with more. And with all music, you know, it's a personal thing. It's the albums that connect with you more, isn't it? And this was the one. I saw them on this tour. Look at that tape. How worn out is that? I've spun that a few times, haven't I? But yeah, fabulous. This was from 91. Blessed Are the Sick. Going back a little bit to the early Earache days, we have got a nice little split here. Grind Madness at the BBC featuring Carcass and Godflesh. This has got the early Carcass tracks, you know, Recaputrefaction, Crepitating Bowel Erosion. And then we've got the early Godflesh, Wound, Not Wound, and Like Rats. I saw this on Amazon. It was about £7 delivered off Amazon, so I had to have it. And I've also got the compilation CD of that, Grind Madness at the BBC, which features both of those EPs there, but it also features Napalm Death, Bolt Thrower, Heresy, Intense Degree, Extreme Noise Terror. Quite a few of those early sort of crusty, punky, extreme bands that Earache were on the label for, that Earache were known for early on. Double CD, that. Another nice piece, and another one of my favourite Napalm Death releases, Mass Appeal Madness. I used to have this on vinyl, but it's long gone now, which does upset me because it's quite expensive to buy nowadays. Another great picture of Napalm Death, love that. I love Napalm Death. I forget the new drummer's name now. Danny Herrera, isn't it? But I always loved him with Mick Harris. I loved the Tornado. I just loved his style. Fabulous little EP that. Got a few more to show you quickly. We'll go for Sweden's finest, Entombed. Clandestine or Clandestine. Brilliant album. My favourite's always going to be Left Hand Path. Again, just for the personal, you know, that what it means to be on a personal level, but this is fabulous. Nicky Anderson's vocals on here, and I really like them. Really enjoy them. I know they kind of made out it was somebody else. Johnny, wasn't it, from it was originally in Carnage. But yeah, great album. I suppose maybe the beginnings of that death and roll in there. It's still not really got that, but you can hear it, some of the sort of grooves and the riffs coming on. Another nice piece that you don't see very often is Crawl, which was off Clandestine. This is the cassette single, or K-single, which some people call it, but it just sounds horrible, that, doesn't it? Yeah, nice little piece. That Earache had a collaboration with Combat, I think it was, wasn't it, and Relativity Records in America. So quite a few of these have got the sort of Combat and Relativity and Earache label on there. You can see that on the spine if you can. But yeah, it's a fabulous little cassette single. This one is from '91. Again, I'm only showing you, I've got the FDR version on vinyl, I've got an OG CD, but I want to show you the cassette. Massacre from Beyond. Just one of the greatest death metal albums ever. So influential. Excuse me. This was a massive album for me and my friends. Just absolutely huge. Kind of death it was, really. Minus Chuck and with Cam on vocals, and Cam Lee was a huge figure in the sort of Floridian death metal scene. But yeah, one of the, and I love the fact that like this album's got that pink cover, and Death's Leprosy had a pink cover as well, which is so extreme metal, you know, death metal, isn't it? But what an album that is, Massacre. Okay, last one I'm going to show you is a bit of a difference, kind of a project, this one, and this is from, I don't think I wrote the year down for this one, did I? And I can't see that print, but it's from the early 90s anyway. This is Meat Hook Seed on their album Embedded. This was a couple of the guys from Napalm Death and a couple of the guys from Obituary kind of playing an industrial death metal. Great album, I love it. Not an essential sort of earache release, but one that I always loved. And you know, it's Napalm Death and Obituary. You've got to check out what's going on there, haven't you? And the last from back in the day release I'm going to show you, Brutal Truth. This one was 92. Extreme Conditions Demand Extreme Responses. Danny Lilker from Nuclear Assault. Kevin Sharp, who's gone on to being a few sort of projects, Lock Up and Venomous Concepts. This album is just fabulous. Aggressive, intense, riffy, fast, slow, pummeling, just everything. It's just fabulous. And the first time I ever heard the drumming on this, blown away. The same as when you first hear sort of the drummer from Suffocation and you know, Mick Harris, you just think, wow, it was like another level. But fabulous album, Brutal Truth. I'm going to show you 3 more modern day earache releases, and then we will call it a day. This is, again, I didn't write the year down, but I think this is 2006, something like that. I might be wrong, but Evil, their debut album, Into the Grave. From the UK, thrash metal, superb thrash metal though, superb, tight as fuck, intense riffing, aggressive, fabulous band, Evil. They've gone on to have sort of 4 or 5 albums now. From, I want to say Singapore, this band's from. I don't know the year of this, but it looks like the 2009, 2010, something like that. But this is Wormrot, their second album, Dirge. Hype sticker says it all. This is grindcore, modern day grindcore, but it reeks of old school. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. If you like sort of modern grindcore, like sort of Pig Destroyer and Nasm and Rotten Sound, you're gonna love Wormrot if you've never checked them out. Got a few albums out as well now. And last but not least, a bit of technical thrash metal. 2016 on Earache. Obviously it's on Earache. Vector, their album Terminal Redux. I'm not a huge fan of some of the later Earache releases because they've got all sorts of different bands on the roster, but you know, they still do have some good bands, and Vector are one of them. This album is fabulous. Technical, atmospheric, melodic thrash metal, just brilliant. Vector, Terminal Redux. That's it. I think I've shown you everything. That's the quite hard work, not hard work because I enjoy making these videos, but they're quite difficult because you've got so much stuff out and it's hard to kind of organise it, and that's why I wasn't going to try and put them in order of the year. I just thought, let's just go through them all and show them you. That's what this video was about, really. To, like I say, show you some of my favourite releases and some of my favourite pieces in my collection from Earache Records. But as always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch my video. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I'll be back soon with another. Until then, take care. Bye for now.